Right now, right now. 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 Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We gotta add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. Well, it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been bigger. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest in everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's episode, Bitcoin is on the rally, and so is CPI. On a CPI report that came out about an hour and a half ago, Bitcoin began a rally all the way up to a local target of $64,500. Today, we're going to be discussing that movement on Bitcoin because it very well may be the fulfillment of an inverse head and shoulders pattern that we have been discussing ad nauseum over the last 2 weeks. Should Bitcoin actually break above a level that's just above its head right now, then we will very likely see a major rally leading Bitcoin far higher than it currently trades. I'm very excited to bring you today's episode of Coffee and Crypto Live because we are going to be talking about FinSov, how to grow our wealth, do it the right way, master our finances, and most importantly, learn how to build enough resources that we're able to be radically generous with a lot of them. My name is Jeb McAfee. I've been working in the cryptocurrency space for over 7 years, and since the first day, almost 7 years actually, it'll be 7 years in a couple of months. Ever since the first day that I got into cryptocurrency, it has always been about helping myself and my family and others to learn how to be better with money. Because you see, I grew up and I wasn't very good with it. In fact, I kind of sucked with it. I was terrible with it. I was so bad at it. Budgeting, what's that? I don't think I learned what the word budget was until I was like 15, and you know how 15-year-olds are all justice and politics, and I was talking about the national budget. That was the only budget I knew anything about, was the national budget. It's out of control. What's going on my own? Who knows? So ever since then, when I started this channel and started this journey, which has now culminated into the mission of financial sovereignty, which we are crusading for every single day, then I have realized that we've really got to make a lot of changes from what we were taught to succeed with money. And if we don't make those changes, we will fail. It's that simple. We get to be better or we get to fail. That's what we do. So here we're talking about how to succeed with money. We do that by following the 6 laws of money, of living on less than you make, of choosing financial sovereignty, of having a written plan, building and living on a budget, of course, getting out of debt, saving and investing for the future, and being radically generous. And when we do those things, we'll succeed. And we talk today about the fulfillment of those laws. So let's see some hashtag FinSovs in chat. I've got a poll for you. Have you told someone about hashtag FinSov, financial sovereignty, in the last week? I've got a feeling I'm going to be disappointed. I've got a feeling a lot of you are going to say no. And that is going to break my heart. Because if you're watching the stream every single day and you're not sharing the message of financial sovereignty with other people, I want to know why. If you believe in what I'm saying, then why not go shout it from the rooftops? Say, financial sovereignty. You can leave my name out of it. I don't care. You don't have to say it was Jeb. Forget about that. Just go and tell people financial sovereignty. It will change your life. I had a feeling that 60% or so of you would say no. Oh my goodness. But I am glad that a third of your guys are saying yes. RJ is in chat this morning. Joe Bollier is in chat, said, good morning, Jeb. Good morning to you as well. Andrew Johnson said, yo, Miguel Rangel is in chat. Sweet Bear is in chat. Crypto Punk. You're not a punk. You're a good guy. Sean O'Brien's in chat. Coin Operator. And chat said Bitcoin, CryptoPunk said Bitcoin is flying high, ready for a breakout above 65K. Amen and Godspeed to that. Raul is in chat, said hey. He said hype it up. Arslan is in chat. Crypto Guys in chat. JD Verhoofdfluffen. Alan Westmoreland. That's so funny you say Westmoreland. My great-grandfather founded Camp Westmoreland in Alabama. So I wonder if you're familiar with that. What's up, Jeb? Grant from Texas. Shout out to Texas. Marquise said, hello from Bukele in El Salvador. Yeah, that guy has a really funny Twitter account. He and the Wendy's Twitter account. Those are the two that you got to follow. Alex Nibo's in chat. JR is in chat. DJ Morales. Quinn Daughtery said, good morning, Jeb. Love you, bro. Love all of you guys. Let's get started. We've got a lot to cover. Bitcoin today is trading above $64,000. After a quick refresh, we can see it's trading at $64,219, up 4.3% in the last 24 hours, up 3% in the last 7 days. This is exciting news because it does indicate that Bitcoin may be done with this corrective movement. Ethereum is up 2% over the last 24 hours, but down 2.36% over the last 7 days. It is up to $2,950, which is very, very exciting indeed as well. Binance is up. Solana is up. It's up 5%, trading at $151. Toncoin is up almost 5%. Cardano up 2.5%. Dogecoin up 1.78%. And SHIB up 3%. Avalanche even trading up 5% on the day. If we look at the chart here, we will recall that over the last several weeks, ever since about, I don't know, probably about here, we've been predicting that we would be building an inverse head and shoulders pattern that would end up leading us on a breakout up towards $70,000. This is one of those predictions that we have been steadfast on. We've been saying the exact same thing for weeks now, and that's because of the years that I've been doing technical analysis. I can normally see this stuff coming. An inverse head and shoulders pattern looks something like this. You have a left shoulder right here. You have a head right here, which is deeper than the two shoulders. And then you have a shoulder right here. We're discussing the anatomy of head and shoulders and not the shampoo, but the chart formation that we are building right now that will likely lead us to a breakout above $75,000. Exciting stuff. You have your left shoulder, your right shoulder, and the head. The head is obviously lower than the shoulders. A normal head and shoulders pattern would look something like this. Inverse is because it's upside down. You have the shoulder line right here, and you have the neckline right here, and then you also have the price target, which is drawn as follows. That is the full anatomy of an inverse or a proper head and shoulders pattern. On the head and shoulders pattern, this is the price target. This is the shoulder line. You're simply drawing across the tops of the shoulders here. And then you have the neckline down here, and then you have the price target as we talked about. So the reason that the inverse head and shoulders pattern is so significant right now is because of this price target. The way you draw a price target is by drawing from the top of the head to the neckline, right at the base of the neck of the inverse head and shoulders pattern. And sometimes you will have an angle on the shoulder line. It's not always going to be perfectly flat lines like this. Sometimes it's going to be an angle, which is what we're dealing with right now. But you draw from the peak of the head straight up to wherever the neckline is at that point, and then you extrapolate from the point that you break the shoulder line. No, sorry, the neckline. So if we come up here after the right shoulder and we break the shoulder line, then we would drag the inverse head and shoulders pattern price target from this location to this location. And that would give us our ultimate price target wherever it's pointing towards. So if we just go ahead and delete all of this, then we look back on the shorter term time frames and we run this forward. You can see this was around the time we started predicting an inverse head and shoulders pattern was going to play out. If you run it forward, let's go on the 4-hourly chart. If you run it forward, that's what has been playing out for some time now. We had the market drop down here to about $55,000, which was the prediction. That's where we said it would drop to because of this flat level, but also this long-term white uptrending level of support. And then now we have a rally that is coming in, bringing us back up to the shoulder line. I'm sorry, the neckline, which is very, very good news. As you can see, this is now the third test of the neckline. We had our left shoulder. Actually, it's the fourth, excuse me. We had the level where we broke below the neckline. Then we had our left shoulder. Left shoulder completes right here. That led us into our head, which completes right here. And we touch the shoulder line, the neckline. And then we go into the right shoulder, and we're touching the neckline again. The inverse head and shoulders pattern is now technically speaking complete. It is now technically speaking complete. And so the way that we draw this is we draw from the top of the head, just like we talked about a second ago, to wherever the neckline is at that point in time, not in space, in time. So it's a vertical line, perfectly vertical. It's not, you're not drawing from here to here. You're not drawing from here to there. No, you're drawing vertical. You can hold the shift button. See how that kind of snaps? That's me pressing and letting go of the shift button. Press and hold the shift button so it's vertical on TradingView. And then you extrapolate so that this bottom down here goes to where the breakout is. We don't know if we're going to break out in the next couple of minutes, or if we may end up putting a little bit of like something on over here on the arm and then break out a little bit later. If we do, that doesn't necessarily negate the inverse head and shoulders pattern. It could end up playing out that way. But regardless, whenever we break out of this neckline, if we do, then we would draw the price target like this. And as you will note, the price target leads us above the current all-time high. Does that mean that we're going to fulfill the entire price target? No, because we could get caught in resistance. We may only go here to $69,000, the prior all-time high. We may end up breaking up towards this downtrending level of resistance right here that is set by our two recent touches. And we may end up stopping out here. Or we may end up going all the way to our current all-time high at $73,800 and stopping out there. Or we may fulfill the price target of the inverse head and shoulders pattern and rally all the way up to $75,000, which would be a break of the prior all-time high. And should we break the previous all-time high, there is a great degree of likelihood that we will see a major rally coming into Bitcoin that could potentially lead us all the way towards $100,000, which I think is likely. Bitcoin has witnessed a pretty large corrective movement. This was a $17,500 drop, a 50-day drop. So far, we have been retraced from all-time high for over 2 months. We hit all-time high on the 14th of March. It is now the 15th of May. And so Bitcoin coming to the conclusion of this corrective movement makes sense. There is, however, also a scenario where Bitcoin could trade sideways here in between these two levels, this downtrending neckline and this flat shoulder line, for a while, build out some consolidated movement, and we could even drop lower. That's also possible. So what happens next? Sometimes you hit the wrong button and then just everything goes haywire. Let's try that again. Sometimes we've got to figure out exactly what happens next, and one of the ways that we can do that is with some of our technical indicators. So quickly, let's go ahead and wrap out our technical analysis here on Bitcoin. Looking at the MACD is turning very bullish on the daily chart. Very exciting. That definitely indicates the bulls are starting to regain control. On the daily chart, the crypto Jeb oscillator, which you can get by signing up for LUX Algo using coupon code JEB or by going to luxalgo.com/Jeb. You can see the crypto Jeb oscillator is continuing to rally here as well. And so that is very exciting. On the daily chart, we are witnessing a green-red-green formation forming here. Green-red-green formation going on right there. And so when we are seeing all of these patterns come into confluence, that gives us an indication that Bitcoin is doing very well. So make sure that you pay close attention to these targets right now. Bitcoin is in very, very bullish territory. It could very quickly go into a rally, especially considering the fact that the altcoins are rallying as well. That indicates that there is a great degree of confidence in the market. Now, what's going to happen next? Let's talk a little bit more about that. I also want to mention the SPY. The stock market just broke all-time high this morning. Big, big, big news. Very, 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 very good news for Bitcoin. And the reason that this is such good news for Bitcoin is because Bitcoin follows the stock market. When the stock market is in blue sky breakout, Bitcoin normally is a little ways behind it, but it is following it. Follows it at a distance. If the stock market breaks all-time high, normally Bitcoin's a few weeks to months behind. That doesn't mean that it's going to take that long this time, but it might. But the point is, Bitcoin's likely going to break all-time high now because the stock market did. When the stock market, and here's the rationale, when the stock market breaks all-time high, then the sentiment in the space becomes, okay, the risk-off market, i.e. the stock market, where people park retirement savings and they begin their wealth building journey before they get into real rental properties and buying homes and all of that. The place that is risk off is doing well. So then people say, okay, we're doing well in risk off, therefore we can go and do stuff in risk on. And they consider cryptocurrency to be risk on. I think over the next 10 to 20 years, Bitcoin will slowly transition to risk off, which will bring in hundreds of billions of dollars of investment. At this point in time, though, it's considered risk on. So when the risk off markets, the stock market is doing well, that leads people to buying into Bitcoin. Now, at the same time, if we look at the Dixie's had an absolutely terrible day. The Dixie has dropped from about 105 points all the way down about 0.5% on the wick and about 0.25% down recently. On top of that, CPI rose 0.3% in April, with shelter and gasoline going up. All items less food and energy is sitting up here at 3.6. And you might think, man, this is bad for Bitcoin. Not really. Why do people buy Bitcoin? To get away from inflation. They buy Bitcoin to get out of the inflation. And so this is actually, paradoxically, good news for Bitcoin. All of these factors are coming together in confluence right now in leading us in the direction of an uptrend on Bitcoin. So be not surprised if Bitcoin is trading back at all-time high in the next few weeks. We're going to continue to talk about all of that and more, but I also want to let you know that today's stream is brought to you in part by NordVPN. If you have not already signed up for NordVPN, then you absolutely should by going to nordvpn.com/Jeb. That will take you to this page right here. As seen on YouTube, exclusive deals, save big, and get 4 months extra. Get 4 months free. You can see all of this activity right here, so make sure to check it out with the link in the description box down below. All right. Good deal. Let's read some chat. Can you look at the cup and handle formation forming on the monthly chart? Has it formed? Great question. So the cup and handle formation on the monthly chart is a very cool theory that Bitcoin is essentially going into a giant cup and handle. And I actually already had it drawn here. See, this was drawn from a few weeks ago when we drew this. So a cup and handle formation, let's go ahead and teach on that as well. A cup and handle formation looks like this. The market goes into a correction. Well, the market rallies first. Then it goes into a correction. It's almost like a cursive U, right? It goes into a correction, has a little smaller correction here, and then breaks out. This is a cup and handle formation, and it does denote a correction in the middle of a longer-term primary trend. In a way, if you zoom out far enough, you can actually consider Bitcoin to be in one gigantic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 Elliott wave formation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see that? I don't know if you can see that because of all of the noise on the chart. Let's go to a cleaner chart. You could almost consider Bitcoin to be in this gigantic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 corrective movement, right? Or impulse movement. You could consider the last 10 years to be one gigantic bull market that looks something like this. You see? And in these corrections, you end up seeing cup and handles form. So cup and handle forms right here. In this case, we didn't exactly see a cup and handle form, but it was kind of a smaller cup and handle almost. This could be a bigger handle, and this could be a smaller cup. But the fact remains that Bitcoin is in a long-term trend, a long-term uptrend, and that's kind of just the long and short of it. So when we look on the shorter-term time frames, and in this case, by the shorter-term time frames, I mean the last year or two, because before we were looking at the last decade. If we look at the last year or two, yes, Bitcoin very much is forming an inverse head and shoulders pattern, and I think there's a lot of merit to that idea. That being said, for Bitcoin to finish forming the cup, Bitcoin needs to actually break bullish and break above the all-time high. And so we're going to have to see if it's a cup and handle formation. We haven't rallied back up to all-time high yet, but if we do rally back up to all-time high, then that's where that theory comes into its fullness. Shadrach Frost said, hashtag CT2A. Yes, hashtag CT2A. If you guys want to learn more about technical analysis, you can find out all of our teaching on that in the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. The link for that is in the description box down below. So make sure to check that out if you have not already. Crispy Crypto Supreme said, looks like there's a baby head and shoulders pattern in the right shoulder. Yes, there absolutely is. I was looking at that yesterday here on stream. Down here on the shorter term, see the right shoulder is right here, but there's an inverse head and shoulders pattern in the right shoulder, which is cool because it means that the price target on this baby little tiny inverse head and shoulders pattern is above the neckline, which is this line right here. So if that head and shoulders pattern follows through on its price target, which breaks us above the neckline, then that will break us above the neckline of the larger inverse head and shoulders pattern, which will likely lead us on its price target towards $75,000. So absolutely right you are. Rolando Lima said, amen and amen. Absolutely. Shadrach Frost, coming in clutch, said, please smash that like button right away. It takes a second and really helps this channel. Yes, thank you so very much. 79% of you have not told someone about FinSolve in the last week. I'm very happy that 21% of you have told someone about FinSolve in the last week, but that is a little bit disappointing. I'm sad. I am disappointed. I wish that number was higher. What does FinSolve mean? It means that we are under God, we are above creation, and we are in control of our finances. That is the definition of it. So here's the deal. If you want to succeed with money, there's one way to do it. It's called financial sovereignty, or nothing. You choose FinSolve or you fail. And I want to show you exactly how serious I am about that. Everyone agrees. Everyone agrees. Everyone agrees. The science agrees that the only way to build wealth is to be in control of it. If your money is controlling you, you're not going to build wealth. If you're a slave to a job that you hate, you're not going to build wealth because you're going to hate your job and you're going to end up losing it. And you're going to be miserable, and you're not going to have the energy to build a budget and save and invest and go to war with chaos like you've got to sometimes and say, this is it. I've had it. I'm done. I'm over it. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. I'm done with it. If you're a slave, slaves don't build wealth. They build someone else's wealth. Hence why we kind of don't do that anymore, because it's evil. But my friends, slavery never went away in the United States of America. Slavery was abolished in 1865, but we just changed the terms. You see, the free slaves ended up going on to be basically the equivalent of indentured servants, and then many of them also went on, and many of the white people and the yellow people and all the different kinds of people went on to get in a bunch of debt and be enslaved. By the time the 1920s rolled around, we had a credit crisis that led us into the Great Depression. Because we didn't follow the age-old wisdom of the law of financial sovereignty that has been here since creation of getting out of debt. Because slaves don't build wealth. If you are a slave, I'm sorry, you are not building your wealth. You are building the wealth of your master. And if you have a credit card and you're running a balance on that, and you got an auto loan, you got student loans, and you got a mortgage, and you owe the IRS, you are not building your wealth. You are building their wealth. You are making them richer. And by the way, oftentimes we like to complain about banks. We like to complain about the government. So why are we giving them more money than they deserve? If we don't like banks so much, if we don't like credit card companies so much, why are we running a $4,000 loan on our balance, on our credit card? If we don't like the government so much, why do we owe the IRS $20,000? Why aren't we hiring a good CPA to figure out every single possible way that we can legally avoid paying taxes? Legally is the key word, but pay them as little in taxes as possible. I would feel convicted giving them the government money because I know what they do with it. I would feel wrong. I would feel dirty giving them money. I'm not going to pay more in taxes. I will never advocate for higher taxes because I don't trust them to use it correctly. We've got to choose to be sovereign over our own money because slaves don't build wealth for themselves. They build wealth for their master. That's the way that works. We've got to choose to be financially sovereign, which means that we are the ones in control of our money and we're doing it God's way. That's how we succeed. At the core of anything that anybody ever teaches you about money, if it is correct, it will be teaching FinSov. If it is wrong, it will not be teaching FinSov. It will be teaching financial bondage. And when you don't have a budget, and when you don't save and invest, and when you're not generous, and when you are in debt, and when you're living above your means, you are in bondage. This is about freedom versus slavery. Are you a slave to your current job? Are you a slave to your current boss? Are you a slave to the cars, plural, that are sitting in the front yard? Somebody came by one time trying to sell us grass care. They work for a certain lawn care company. Came by and they saw that I have a motorcycle out in the front yard. And they said, "Oh, that's cool. You got a motorcycle?" Yeah. I said, "Yeah, I got a motorcycle." And they said, "Oh, cool. I got like 12 of them." It's like, whoa, you got 12 motorcycles being a 24-year-old salesperson for lawn care? I didn't say that to him. I'm thinking in my mind, there's no way they own that stuff free and clear. You know they've got 15 different loans on those motorcycles. You know they do. There's so much slavery around. It is slavery. That's the word for it. Slavery still exists, guys. And it's in the form of money. It's in the form of money. You know what used to happen? Here's what used to happen. What used to happen several hundred years ago is if you got in debt and you couldn't pay it back, you were basically sold into indentured servitude. Some of the first colonies in the United States, they were debtor colonies. Same thing with, well, Australia was the prisoners, but there were some debtor colonies in the United States. You ran out of money, you went into debt in Great Britain, you were sent to North America to grow cotton or tobacco or sugar or whatever. Nowadays, we don't send people off to the plantation, literally, because they're in debt. We let them stay in the debt and think that everything's okay so that they can continue to pay the interest. And the banks and the government and the credit card companies and Lowe's and Home Depot and Starbucks and Walmart and your Target Circle card and everybody that has a credit card, because everybody offers a freaking store credit card now, they realize that if they get you to sign up for the credit card and you're not good with money, they turn you into a little human battery like you're in the Matrix or something, and they harvest the financial future out of your soul and give it to themselves. And we keep signing up for this crap. We keep choosing to get into debt. So if you have not chosen financial sovereignty, you have not done step one yet, which is you must forsake foolishness, choose financial sovereignty, and declare war on chaos. There is chaos in your life that is stealing your joy and your peace. There is bondage in your life that is stealing your very future from yourself, and you've got to make a change today. You've got to say, this is it. I've had it. I'm done with it. I'm selling the stupid car with a big loan on it. I'm cutting the credit cards in half. I'm getting this mortgage paid off. I'm done with it. I'm over it. I'm having a budget. I am saving and investing for the future because I want to retire with dignity, maybe even be able to retire early because I'm going to work my butt off. Maybe you want to do underwater basket weaving for the last 30 years of your life. That doesn't make any money. But if you saved and invested and you're able to retire at 50, then you could do that. But if you're a slave, you don't get to do what you want to do. You get to do what your master says, which is make this minimum payment and continue to go into more debt so that you can pay us forever, so that we can harvest you like you're a cow that comes back every year and we milk the life out of you. You're a cow. You're being milked for your financial future from these companies, and it is absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I'm so sick of it. It is immoral. It is disgusting what these companies are doing. It is horrible. It is modern day slavery. And it's not about black people are enslaved. It's not about Native Americans are enslaved. It's not about white people. It's about everybody that signs up for this crap is enslaved. Every one of them. It's nonsense. And by the way, I pay my credit card off all day. I pay my credit card off every time. So I don't even check what the interest rate is. Well, here's the thing. if you are doing that and you're saying, oh, I'm making $2,000 a year from the rewards. Okay, cool. You're making $2,000 a year from the rewards. Where'd the company get the money to pay you the rewards? Because there's some poor single mom in slavery right now that has no idea how to run a budget because nobody ever taught her. Nobody ever told her this stuff. Nobody ever did what the 19% of you guys did and went out and told somebody about financial sovereignty. Nobody went and taught that poor lady. So she has no idea. She was just told, oh, I got to sign up for a credit card because I got to build my credit because I'm a single mom and I need a credit card because I got to be able to take out debt. And she's the one paying the interest that you're making in the rewards. You know, people say it's a zero-sum game. They say, oh, well, it's the same thing in crypto. For there to be a winner, there's got to be a loser. Not really. Not really. If you buy into the market and you hold it for long enough and you sell it later, then you actually don't have to lose money on crypto. It's not that way. It's not a zero-sum game. There are plenty of win-win situations in finance because the global economy is continuing to grow. We've been radically blessed by God, but here's the fact of the matter. When you sign up for the debt game, it will steal your joy. It will not benefit you. And even if you think you're getting away scot-free and it's not hurting you, it's hurting somebody else. So please, stop being a cow. Stop getting milked by the IRS and by the banks and by the credit card companies. Get out of debt and stay out of debt. Like I've told you before, the one kind of debt that I'm not going to get upset about is a mortgage. Because I understand that the way housing prices are, the entire housing market is built on this idea of people have to take out loans. So the housing prices are massively higher than they probably would be if people bought them in cash. We probably wouldn't have as big of homes as we do if not for this whole mortgage idea. So I understand that it's been baked into the actual price of homes, the fact that people take out loans and pay them off over 30 years. If you're going to get a loan on your house, I recommend a 15-year fixed rate mortgage. And the reason for that is because you're going to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars less in interest over time. Most of you are already in debt. So you probably already have a credit score, so you probably don't need to worry about that. A lot of you already own homes. If you don't have a credit score, there are still bankers that will manually underwrite a home loan for you if you've got the assets. And here's the other thing. Bankers are a lot more willing, even if you don't have a credit score, to loan you the money for a 15-year fixed rate mortgage if you've got a lot of assets and you've got a track record of paying all your bills on time. Say, look, I've paid my water bill on time every time for the last 7 years. I make $180,000 a year. I make $120,000. I make $70,000 a year. This is 25% of my budget. It's a 15-year fixed rate mortgage, 25% of my budget. They're going to do that. Not every bank's going to do that, but you can find banks that will do that. You've got to call them, and the first question you ask is, will you do manual underwriting? Because I don't play the credit score game. That's what you do. You call, and you're going to have to call 15 banks because there's not that many people that do it, but you can find it. You can find banks that will do manual underwriting for you, and then what's going to happen is that they will get you the mortgage, and if they want to sell the loan, then they'll sell the loan to somebody else, and the people that buy the loan don't give a crap because they've already had the mortgage has already been ascribed to you. So please, quit the debt game. It's absolutely asinine. It is stupid. It is so freaking stupid. And I've got way too much love for you to not tell you that debt is stupid. Not living on a budget is stupid. Not investing for the future is stupid. Those things are dumb. Please don't do them. You're smarter than that. Smart people do dumb stuff all the time. All I got to do is look into my past, and I've seen tons of it, right? So I'm not a better than you, but it is dumb. And I love you way too much not to tell you that it's dumb. I love my son way too much to not tell him that if he doesn't eat his breakfast when he gets to the playground this morning, this is a true story from this morning, you're not going to feel good. I love you too much to not tell you that if you do this foolish thing, then you're not going to feel well, right? I love you too much not to tell you. That's also why I love you too much not to tell you about the Lord Jesus Christ, but that's another conversation. My only debt is a mortgage, $1,000 on credit cards, and less than $5,000 for a new furnace last year. Pay it off quickly, Verhoofty Floofin. Pay it off quickly. The mortgage, I want you guys on a 15-year fixed rate mortgage on a plan to pay it off in 5 to 7 years instead of 15. You will save 75 to 80% on interest payments. Instead of paying $400,000 in interest, you may end up paying $80,000 in interest. That is $320,000 that you would have given to the bank to make some banker richer and their skyscraper taller and their chair fancier and their lunch tastier. Instead, you get to put that into your retirement or into crypto and succeed with money. Quit being a cow. Quit getting milked. Quit being a sheep. Quit getting sheared. Keep your freaking milk to yourself. Keep your freaking wool to yourself and sell it for yourself and grow your own wealth. Build your own house, not somebody else's. The final thing I'll say on this, Crispy Crypto Supreme said debt-free as of this morning. Woo! Love it. Love it. I'm excited about that. That's awesome. It's great. I love to hear that. So excited about that. Good job. How does it feel? Crispy Crypto Supreme, if I had the calling system set up I'm working on, I would totally say to call in the stream right now. I want to hear about it. Hey, Crispy, when we get that, we're working on a few things right now. I'm planning on having this up in the next month or so. When we get our calling system up, I want you to call in and tell us about how you did it. You can tell us a little bit in the chat right now, but I want to hear more about it. All right. And be radically generous, guys. It's the most fun you will ever have with money. My last name literally translates to free or land-owning person. That's cool. Yeah, well, get yourself out of debt and live up to your namesake. That's great, Verhoofty Floofin. That's so cool. Rolando Lima said, you were so correct, Jeb. Amen, and keep on going, Jeb. If you haven't watched the video I made yesterday, I want you to go and watch that. And the reason is because in that video was titled something very, very inflammatory. And I did that on purpose. It's titled, I'm glad you're worried about your crypto. Go watch this video. This is me saying that I am so glad that you're worried about your crypto if you are, because there's a reason that you are worried about it. And whatever it is, you need to fix that. Jason Clark said, at Crypto Jeb, where's the other two guys for the show? Been a long time. They have moved on and done their own thing, and they are doing as well as they are doing well, I think. So good for them. I am glad that everything's working out for them. So shout out to them. Verhoofty Floofin said, I've got a pay settlement in the thousands coming in June. It's going to pay the credit and furnace loan. Then I'll take profits from crypto this cycle and put it on the mortgage. That's good, taking the profits from this cycle and putting it on the mortgage. Okay, that it's coming in June. Okay, I'd be paying on it even before a pay settlement in the thousands coming in June. Is that cash that's coming in, or are they going to settle it for less? I see it. Okay, I see. Well, good. I want you guys to be out of debt in 6 to 24 months at the latest. Ideally, be a lot quicker than that. Don't be a cow. Be a be a bull. There you go. Yes, be a bull. Exactly. Don't be a cow. Be a bull. I like that. Oh man. Crispy Crypto Supreme said, worked hard and got a fat bonus this morning. Lol. Absolutely. Love it. I love it. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse. Jeff Combs said, yes, talking about Malachi 3, 8 through 11, talking about how the Israelites were robbing from God by not bringing their tithes into the storehouses. Tithing is a great idea, guys. It is one of the most fun things you will ever do with your wealth. All right. Teaching someone in my class how to get out of debt. Just started him on a budget, and he's actually doing it and saving for his first emergency fund. People need to hear this stuff. Share FinSov. Thank you so much. Let's run another poll. After hearing everything I just said, are you going to share about FinSov? Guys, we are trying to start a crusade here. We are on the FinSov crusade. This is not about Jeb McAfee. This is not about Crypto Jeb. This is not about McAfee Media. This is about you and the people that you will impact. This is about changing people's futures. This is about changing family trees. This is about changing generational curses and putting them to an end. Is it a generational curse in your life that you are, everybody in your family has always been a drunk? And so you think you're just going to be. You don't have to be. You get to have control over yourself. Is it that everybody in your life has always sucked with money and always been flat broke? You don't have to be. Is it that everybody in your life has always been fat and they just have no control over their eating and they just eat everything in front of them? You don't have to be that way. No shame to anybody that's in those bondages, but they are bondages, and because I love those people, I got to call it what it is. Right? It is bondage. Being out of control of an area of your life that you were supposed to be in control of is a form of slavery, and we've got to start calling it for what it is if we want a change to occur. So I challenge you, are you going to go and tell somebody about FinSov? We've got 16 votes. After hearing everything I just said, are you going to share about hashtag FinSov? 17 votes have come in. 94% of you have said yes. Share it to the world. I want this to be the new quote-unquote financial freedom. I want you to have financial freedom. I want you to have financial peace. I love those words. How do you get there? By financial sovereignty. That's the operative. Financial peace is the end goal. Financial sovereignty is the verb. It is the action. It is the choice that we make every day, and we say, I will render sovereignty. I will render kingship. I will render authority over this life of mine. And I will do it God's way to the T. And if he says to do it a certain way, I'm going to do it that way, even if I don't understand it in the moment, because I know that he's the author of perfection. He is the perfecter of our faith. And I know that he knows a lot more about his creation called money than I've got any idea what I know about it. And so I'm going to do it under God, I'm going to be under God, above creation, in control of finances. If it's my body, I'm going to be under God, under God, above creation, in control of my body. If it's my schedule, I'm going to be under God, above creation, in control of my time. And so we've got to make a change if we want a change. We've got to stop sitting on our butts saying things are going to change. Government's going to save me. Well, they might forgive the loan. You know how many people are sitting around waiting for student loan forgiveness? They've been sitting there for 20 years. And they've paid more in interest than the actual loan was. They paid over 100% interest. You don't build wealth that way. You don't build wealth when you're a slave. Slaves don't build wealth. Slaves build their master's wealth. You are a slave, like a cow being milked, if you think you're going to get ahead while being in debt. Here's some practical applications of this. If you think you're going to get ahead investing in the cryptocurrency market, but you have not chosen to build a budget, you are a slave, and you are like a cow being milked by the master that is chaos. Make no mistake, not having a budget is a form of bondage. You are bound to your own chaos. You are bound to that urge to go and buy a drink at the vending machine that you can't afford. You are bound to that urge to go on that trip that you can't afford. And what ends up happening is you're going to go into debt because you don't have a budget. Do you think you're going to get ahead because you bought into Bitcoin, but you're not willing to get out of debt? First, by the way, you're not willing to build a budget. You're not willing to have a plan for your investment. If you think you're going to get ahead, you're wrong. And again, I don't say this to beat you up. I say this because I love you and I want you to change. Because I want you to succeed. The Bible tells me in Proverbs chapter 1 that wisdom shouts it from the rooftops. Shouts it from the rooftops. At the Feast of Tabernacles, Jesus is in the temple, and it says that he shouted, he cried, he yelled as loud as he could so everybody in the courtyard could hear him. Listen to me. What I say is true, and you will benefit if you listen to it. In Proverbs, wisdom shouted. In John, the manifested wisdom shouted and said and cried out, "Listen to me." That's my job. That's your job. That's why I challenge you to go and tell somebody about FinSolve. Because if you're hearing this message and you're saying yes and amen, but you're not going to share it with somebody, don't let the message die with you. Think about it. I guarantee you that you can think of somebody in your life that needs to hear about this. You can think of somebody. Why would you hold that blessing from them? That's how I feel about the gospel. Why would I hold the blessing of teaching somebody about the gospel from them? Why would I not tell them? Why would I rise up to be with my Father in the clouds one day and look down at them and say, man, I knew you for 10 years. Why didn't you ever tell me this was going to happen, Jeb? I read that one time because there were some people that were telling me that I should not be talking about Jesus on the channel as much as I do. You know, they told me, and I won't say who, but they told me, you know, well, we got to build relationships first, and then we got to kind of gently introduce. It's like, no. Jesus is the Christ. Follow him or there are consequences. He loves you. He's got so many blessings for you. We don't follow him because we're trying to avoid the consequences. We follow him because we want to be with him. But I'm going to say that. And I'm not going to be ashamed of it. It's the first thing I'm going to say. I'm not going to sit in a town for 6 months and make relationships and then tell them. No, what happens if everybody dies in that time? I'm going to tell you as quickly as I can about the gospel, and in the same way, I'm going to tell you as quickly as I can about financial sovereignty. I love you too much to follow the politically correct or the polite manner of it. It's not about being polite. It's about this is right, and you can do it or you can fail. If you don't do it, you will be miserable. Friends, the fruit of the Spirit is peace and love and joy and gentleness and patience and kindness and all those things. When we follow God and do what he says with money, we will have those things. When we don't follow God with money, we will not have those things with money. You can find contentment wherever you are. Paul found contentment when he didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, but you know what? He was meant to be there. He was sovereign over his finances. More so, he was sovereign over himself to say, I don't need anything right now. That's not what I'm called to. I'm not building anything on earth. It's not bad to build anything on earth. It's not bad to build something on earth, but that's not what he was called to in that time. And it might not be what you're called to. Maybe you are called to be homeless and go and preach to the other homeless people and be like, hey, I'm one of you. I sold everything. I'm homeless now. And that might be your calling. It's not most people's calling, but it might be. So yeah. Psalm 37:21 says the wicked borrows but does not pay back. Yes, and that is true. Something else to keep in mind, though, is that somebody came to me one time. They're like, is it a righteous thing to take a settlement? If your master says you can pay less in debt, then you can pay less in debt. Just keep that in mind. If a credit card company or the IRS or somebody says you can settle this debt for less, that is your master giving you permission to pay less. Pay it less. Count the blessing. Take the blessing. That being said, if the master, which is Discover or Chase or PennyMac or whoever, TD Auto Finance or whatever bank, JP Morgan, whatever, if they don't say that you can pay for less, then you have to pay it all back. You do have to pay it all back. Press O'Neill said, what happens if I'm wrong about the afterlife? And Shadrach Frost gave the correct answer. I'm not wrong about the afterlife. I know for an absolute fact where I am going, and I'm very glad for that. Emmanuel Davila said, Holy Spirit be with Jeb and his family for generations to come. God bless everyone in this chat. Absolutely. Guys, I also want to let you know that today's stream is brought to you by Uphold. If you have not already signed up for Uphold, then you absolutely should, because your Bitcoin and your cryptocurrency are at threat of being lost if you are holding them in private storage, which is not a bad idea to hold them in private storage, but it is kind of dangerous. Vault gives you a happy middle ground where you have access to the exchange 24/7, as you can see right here. But at the same time, when you sign up for Uphold's Vault, if you have 2 keys, and should you lose one of your keys, then Uphold will replace the lost key so that you can still get into the vault. See, the way it works is that to get into your Uphold Vault, you need to have 3 keys. You need to have 2 of the 3 keys, any 2 of the 3 keys. So should you lose one of yours, Uphold's key can stand in the gap, and you can reset the whole wallet, and then you will be able to get back into your key. Uphold can never control your crypto, as they say right here, because they only have 1 key, and you need 2 to get into the vault. Excellent idea. Make sure to check it out. Sign up. It's very, very inexpensive for the annual plan for what you're getting. So make sure to check it out with the link in the description box down below. We're going to read chat here for just a minute, and then we will continue. Press O'Neill said, at Shadrach Frost, that's hope, not a fact. Just not trying to be disrespectful, but it's fair to question. That's fine, Press O'Neill. As I said, God is never afraid of your big questions. And even though I might not have a certain answer, I've got nothing wrong with you asking them, because that is how people come to faith, is they ask questions. I had a lot of questions for God before I came to Christ. And to be honest with you, I didn't get some of the answers until after I came to him, because it's not about an intellectual debate. It's about whether or not we are in relationship with Christ. That's what the Pharisees had wrong. They were intellectually debating Jesus instead of loving him, right? And so the way that I know that I'm going to heaven one day is because I have followed Jesus Christ. And when I follow Jesus Christ and I love him and I spend time with him and I have a relationship with him, I believe that he is true. And the reason that I believe he is true is because he has shown me in his word that he is true. This is a question that I kind of had when I was coming to the Lord, Press O'Neill, was how do I know that Jesus is who he says he is? This is a question that I've researched extensively. And I found a ministry called Cold Case Christianity. Feel free to go and look into it. This guy's a cold case detective, and his whole job is figuring out unsolved murders that occurred when all of the eyewitnesses are dead or have lost their memory. These are cold cases that are 30, 40, 50 years old. And so you have to go and you have to analyze the actual evidence that is on file. And when you follow the evidence for Jesus, you find out that he is exactly who he says he is. He did rise from the dead, because there are hundreds, if not thousands, of witnesses that were credited as having seen him rise from the dead. And there is never a single person that says that he was fake. Not one. Now, listen, this is something that we could talk about for 3 hours. I'm not going to be able to get into all of it right now, but I definitely would like for you to check that out. Check out Cold Case Christianity. Read the Gospels. Read about Isaiah 53. I've got a big poster of it that one of you guys sent me out there. Read Isaiah 53. It prophesies of Jesus' coming his entire life, several hundred years before Christ was ever born. So check it all out. Jesus is who he says he is. It's a great question, and that's not a very probably satisfying answer, because I've only got a couple of minutes, because it's a very complicated question, but I definitely want you to look into it. And by the way, if you want more evidence, all 6 of the laws of money, which you can't debate, are all biblical. It's true. The truth of the Bible is what proves it to me. Cool. All right, guys. I also want to let you know about Crypto.com. If you've not already signed up for Crypto.com, you should. The link is in the description box down below. There are over 100 million users trusting in Crypto.com, and the reason for that is because it has the best user interface and user experience in the entire game. If you're trying to get into cryptocurrency trading and investing, UI, UX, in other words, user experience and user interface and ease of use, is the most important thing that you ought to be choosing for. So Make sure to sign up for crypto.com by going to the link in the description box down below. Okay. Love you guys so much. Love you guys so much. We have come to time, so we're going to wrap it out. I hope you guys have enjoyed the stream. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and thank you that 58% of you guys are going to go and share about FinSov. Originally, only 18% of you said that you had. Now 58% of you say that you have, that you were going to. So I have tripled the number of you guys, apparently, with my preaching and teaching here. So please, go and tell somebody this week. Go and tell somebody this week. Go tell somebody this week about FinSov. That we must submit ourselves to God's teaching on money. We must choose to be in control of, be over creation. We must choose to be in control of ourselves and the things around us that we are supposed to be in control, and we do that all in our finances. Choose FinSov and preach it and shout it and share it from the rooftops, and don't ever be ashamed. Don't ever be scared if somebody says, I don't want to hear that. That's fine. Then you know, knock the dust off your boots and go the other way. I'm not saying you have to be mean to them, or I'm not saying you have to shove it down people's throats, but don't ever be afraid to tell somebody. Please, people need to hear this. Before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.